everyone, and welcome to another episode of Aligned Heart. This is Misty Springer, and I am your host. Today, we are talking about the miracle frequency and the surprising truths that come with co-creation with God and being in the intentional frequency of miracles. In the last episode, I shared a workshop that I had provided for my clients on creating from the miracle frequency of intentionally creating from the field of possibility, the field of potentiality, which is the field of miracles. That there's three different fields. We have the field of predictability, the field of possibility, and the field of potentiality. And the field of predictability is what we can see, feel, touch, experience right now. It is our current lived experience, and it's predictable. We can say, I know with certainty this can happen because it's happened before. I know that I can create X amount of money because I have created it before. I know that I can experience this type of relationship, whether that is loving or full of conflict, because that is what I am currently experiencing. It feels very predictable. It feels like when we talk about reality, like, well, it's just reality. It's just how it is. That is the field of predictability, and it's not the frequency of miracles. If we are creating a miracle, if we're living in the frequency of miracles, if we're seeking and expecting miracles, then we have to live in the field of possibility and potentiality. We have to create something that has never been created before. We have to use our energy, which is what we believe, think, and feel, to step into the possibility of something different than what we're currently experiencing. We have to think greater than our own mind. We have to feel something different than we felt before. We have to believe something greater than what we currently believe. And we can do that with intentionality. And when we stay in that frequency of miracles, then we start to experience life differently. We start to experience miracles. This is seeking and expecting miracles. We start to see through spiritual eyes. All of a sudden, we start to notice the things that we didn't quite notice before. And miracles become something that can be predictable. It can feel like it's just the way life is, that I get to experience miracles and I get to be in co-creation with God. Now, I just recently had an experience with this. I shared in the last podcast episode that I was invited on a trip to Spain to hike the El Camino trail with my adult daughter. It was literally a co-creation with God. It felt like a beautiful gift wrapped up with a bow and handed to me from heaven. When I started out the year, I started with an intentional creation process. It was with the intent of co-creating with God and working on my belief and my faith and my trust that all things work together for my good. And that when I clearly state my desires, God is willing and ready to answer my prayers. And so in that desire and faith, I created my vision for 2026. And there were three specific things that stood out. I realized that I love physical adventure. I love using my body. I love pushing my body. I love feeling alive in my body. And that's one of the ways that I feel the most aligned and most connected to my higher self. It's something that has always fueled me and given me a lot of joy and satisfaction and alignment. So that was one thing that I really wanted. I wanted something that was physically demanding and active. I wanted to also create adventure and travel. That's something also that is very important to me. I wanted it to be meaningful travel, not just travel to go sightsee, but meaningful travel. And I wanted to create connections with my adult children. I am this next phase of my life is beginning to unfold. I'm in this stage of empty nesting, and my time is opening up in a new way. And so I'm learning how to move into this next phase, this transition with intention, with creating with God what is next for me. And so all of these things kind of fit into that picture of how I'm moving into this next transition of my life. And so I created that, kind of put it to the side, and then about within no less than 2 months, I had a friend contact me, and she said, "Hey, this opportunity to travel to Spain and hike the El Camino Trail just became available to me. I just became aware of it, and I thought of you. And I'm taking my two daughters. Would you like to go?" And I said, yes, I would like to go. Can I take my daughter? If she's graduating from college, this would be a great graduation gift for her. And within 24 hours, I had contacted my daughter. I had felt this full body yes. There was just like this yes in my body. This is exactly what I'm meant to do. And it felt like this beautiful answer to prayer and an exact creation of what I had been wanting and what I had been creating since the beginning of the year. And so we booked the trip. We were ready to go, and we set out in May for the El Camino Trail. I didn't really know anything about it, but the El Camino Trail is a pilgrimage, and it's often a spiritual pilgrimage. And uh, the the way that people describe it is magical. That there is a magic to the Camino. I see it as a spiritual connection. There's a spiritual frequency on the Camino that is very real and very tangible. And as we walked and talked with people from all over the world, everyone had their own experience with the magic of the Camino. And so as I started out on this journey with my daughter, um, I created an intention, and my intention for the Camino was to seek and expect miracles, intentionally co-create this experience by living in the frequency of miracles, by noticing all the miracles that were already here and being surprised and delighted by the miracles that showed up along the way. So what I want to highlight a couple of miracles that happened that were so beautiful and profound. I want to capture the beauty and the magic of them. And I also want to highlight some unexpected miracles that came in unexpected ways that were probably, well, I know they were equally as powerful as the ones that felt magical. There was a song that came to my attention back in 2023. It was a very challenging year for me. And at the beginning of the year, without really knowing what I was heading into for that year, there was a song that I came across my feed that I absolutely loved and just felt really drawn to. And it was, "I'm grateful for sunshine, I'm grateful for rain, I'm grateful for joy, I'm grateful for pain. It's a beautiful day." That's what this experience felt like. Joy, pain, sunshine, rain. It's a beautiful day. So the joy, the sunshine. One of the one of the things that was challenging about the trail is that we hiked between 15 and 19 miles a day for 5 days straight. And my daughter was having a difficult time on the trail. She hadn't trained quite as much, and so her feet were really bothering her. She had really painful feet. Every step she took was excruciating. So on about the third day into the trail, we cut the walk in half, and instead of walking 19 miles, we walked 9. And she was such a trooper and was really in a lot of pain for those 9 miles, but made it. So on the last day, it was a 15-mile trek. And she said, you know what, Mom, I don't think that I can do the full 15. There were 2 other ladies that were going to take a cab halfway down the trail. And she said, I can stay with these 2 women. I don't think I can hike the full 15, but I don't want to hold you back. Please go. And so I knew she was in good hands with these 2 other women, and I knew it was what she wanted. And so I set out on my trek, and she set out on hers. And we really, really hoped that we would have the opportunity to meet up at the end of the trail. This was our last day. We wanted to walk into Santiago together, which is kind of the culmination of the whole trail. And it felt really important to do that with her. It was something that I really, really wanted, but there was no way to coordinate that. We had no idea what the trail would look like or where we would meet. And so we pretty much just left it to God and said, all things will work together for our good. We know this is going to work out in the best way for both of us, and we'll just trust. So she stayed back at the hotel, rested for a little bit with the other 2 ladies, and then took a cab mid-morning, and the cab dropped them off at a random mile marker. And as they were dropped at this mile marker, they decided to take a picture. And one of the ways that my mother passed away several years ago, and one of the ways that I recognize my mom and her angel presence in my life is through butterflies. And Aubrey and I, my daughter, had seen butterflies on the trail every time we were alone. When we were with other people, we didn't see the butterflies, but when we were together, we saw the butterflies, felt my mom's presence. I knew she was there. And so Aubrey was telling me later that as she stood in front of this mile marker, where the cab had randomly dropped her off, she felt my mom's presence. And on the mile marker, a butterfly landed, a huge, beautiful butterfly. And she felt a peace and a calm knowing that she was being watched over by my mom. So they decided, just a couple of minutes from this mile marker, there was this cute little market, and they decided to stop into this cute little market and just shop for some souvenirs in this little market. Well, unbeknownst to them and us, we rounded the corner and saw this cute little market and thought, hey, I'm going to go look for some souvenirs in this cute little market. And so as I stepped into this cute little market, I turned around and immediately saw my daughter. We had been able to meet up completely randomly on this walk, exactly where we wanted to be, trusting that it would happen, and it did. It was absolutely miraculous, and a memory that I will cherish, and a hug from my daughter that I will cherish for the rest of my life. That was by far a miracle, and it's something that I hold on to dearly. The other miracle that I saw, there were stamps that we gathered along the way. And as you collect these stamps, you can collect these stamps in your pilgrim passport that says, I walked the Camino. And you can get them at little cafes that you stop at, or sometimes at a random church that we walked through or saw. And sometimes it's just random people who, out of the goodness of their heart, have set up a little stand on the side of the Camino and offer stamps for all the pilgrims who walk past. And my daughter and I saw a little woman who was passing out stamps, and she had this three-legged dog, and we were drawn to this three-legged dog, and we thought, oh, we've got to get a stamp from the three-legged dog lady. So we walked over, and as one of the things that she offered as you got a stamp is that you got to choose an affirmation. And one of the intentions that I had, along with uh, seeking and expecting miracles, one of the intentions was to let go of the past and step into the new. I'm in, like I had mentioned before, in this place of transition, and this walk felt very significant in that transition. And so as I chose my affirmation from her, I just had to smile. And of course, this is the affirmation that I received. It said, I release myself from the versions of me that I created to survive. And what hit me in that, and the miracle in that, first of all, was that that was an exact, it was an exact iteration of my intention. And a part of it that I had not realized was that there was an understanding that I was stepping into something new, but there was also a compassion for the parts of me that I was leaving behind, or that I was, taking parts that still felt important with me. There was a level of compassion that I hadn't accessed yet, a level of understanding that those parts of me that I had created were only created to survive. And there's a beautiful compassion that comes with that. There's a beautiful understanding and gift that and acceptance that comes with that. And I have found through the work that I do that acceptance is the pathway to releasing and moving forward. That we can't just let go because we want to fix it or make it go away. We release through compassion, through acceptance, through understanding. And that was one part that I had forgotten in my quest to step into this new next transition and who I'm becoming. I had forgotten that the compassion comes first. And so this beautiful affirmation that I received was a representation of what I was stepping into, and also the compassion that I could have for the parts that I was releasing. It allowed that release to happen. So the magic of the Camino is real. In fact, when I showed my affirmation to the woman with the three-legged dog, I said, this is my intention for the Camino. And she said, the magic of the Camino is real. So beautiful, beautiful miracles. And those were just a couple of the many miracles that we witnessed and saw on the Camino. Now, miracles that happened unexpectedly, miracles that came in the rain and in the pain. The first was the pain that my daughter experienced. Of course, I did not want my daughter to go through the pain. Of course, I did not want to have to split up and not walk the entire thing with my daughter. When I had envisioned walking the El Camino Trail, I did not envision her being in pain and having to make the decision about whether or not we were going to walk all of it or some of it. That wasn't a part of my vision. And yet it was exactly the miracle. Because as we walked, as my daughter walked through excruciating pain, she was brought back and reminded of pain that she has experienced in her body from a young age. She has had a rocky relationship with pain and her body and chronic illness, and it has shaped the way that she views herself and her body in a lot of ways. And so as she was walking, she said, you know, Mom, every time I experience pain, it takes me back to this really dark place that I'm not like everybody else, that my body isn't strong like everybody else, that I hold people back, that I'm not capable. She said it's really easy for me to get stuck in the spin when I am in pain. And as we walked and talked and processed that, um, I recognized and reflected back to her that she's rewriting her story, that her story of pain and how she sees herself in the pain can only be rewritten in the pain. She had to experience the pain in order to rewrite and discover a different ending to her story. So, for all of you that are experiencing pain, it's an opportunity to rewrite your story with pain and what that means about you. When we're in the pain, we're in the story that we're creating about that pain. And we get the opportunity to rewrite that. And of course, God is going to give us pain over and over and over again to rewrite and revise whatever no longer suits us, whatever this next chapter brings. There's an opportunity to say, yes, I experienced that in chapter 1. And what else is also true? I have learned and become something different, and I'm writing a different chapter in chapter 6. And I'm writing my new story from a different place, from a different perspective, from a different strength. That was the miracle in the pain. And now my miracle in the pain. I came home after this beautiful, expansive, like gift handed to me from heaven type experience. And within about 24, 48 hours of being home, I received some news that was devastating for me. It was everything that I thought I wanted. It was a direction that I thought my business was going. It was a place of connection and belonging that I felt I had created and was experiencing on a whole new level that felt so meaningful and so deep. All of that within about 48 hours was completely flipped on its head. And I was left feeling hurt, comparison, doubt, deep, deep grief and mourning beyond what I thought was what the experience was bringing up for me. It seemed really big, all of these emotions that I was feeling. And what came from that, what the miracle was in that, was that there was incredible clarity on what I did want. There were wounds that were brought to the surface that I didn't even know I had. Those were those parts that I was releasing, the parts I was letting go, releasing that were created to survive, the versions of myself that needed some compassion and love to let go. I needed that experience to bring those to the surface. I also needed that experience to clarify what I truly wanted, which was sisterhood and deep connection and a sense of belonging. And what I also had to see and let go of was the belief that I could only create it in the way that I thought it was supposed to look, that it had to be this one way to create what I wanted, that I needed it to be a certain way or else it wouldn't work, that I had to control what it looked like in order for it to work out in the way that I thought. I had to let go of all of that and trust that I could create what I truly wanted, which was deep, meaningful connection and beautiful belonging and sisterhood, but that I could do it in a different way. And that way may even be better than what I had originally thought it was supposed to look like. And I know that experience was divinely timed right after the Camino, because it was such a contrast. Yes, here was this Camino that was wrapped up like I ordered it off the menu from heaven and it was dropped in my lap. Like, here you go. And there was also this experience of ordering off the menu and expecting the beautiful fish tacos that I had ordered and getting lasagna instead, and saying, whoa, 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 this is not what I ordered. This is not what I want. This doesn't even look appetizing to me. This does not look appealing to me. There is nothing about this that I want. Send it back. Nope, wrong order. Not for me. But in the allowing to just sit with the disappointment, to not fix it or make it go away, to just be in the experience and allow myself to grieve, to cry, to feel, to experience all of it, to feel first and understand that there's truth in this experience. There's nothing wrong with the grief and the sorrow of it. Learning that faith is trusting the pain is here to be experienced and learned from, and that the pain is a gift from God every bit as much as the joy. That there is something here in the pain that is also from God, that is also a miracle, that it's unveiling and unfolding in a way that God allows us to see and feel and experience in a whole new way. And so I allowed myself to just be in it and trusting that it was going to resolve when it needed to, that I wasn't going to get stuck in it, that I wasn't going to wallow in it, but that it needed to be there to experience, to process, to move through so that I could find what was on the other side. And what I found on the other side was beautiful. There was clarity, there was peace, there was the miracle. So the beauty of the miracle is that I'm grateful for sunshine, I'm grateful for rain, I'm grateful for joy, I'm grateful for pain. It's a beautiful day. There's beauty in all of it. There's a miracle in every season and every experience of your life. God gives us all things and works all things for our good. The pain, the joy, the sunshine, the rain. So I hope that you'll join me in the meditation that I'm recording to accompany this podcast. We're going to be exploring that joy and that pain, what it feels like to allow both and to recognize and trust that I can create space for both, that I can hold both, that you have the ability to be in the pain, in the joy, and to learn and to grow and to become and to feel fully alive in both of them. Thanks for being here with me today. If this is something that resonated with you, please share. Please share with someone who you feel might benefit from hearing this or even experiencing the meditation. Come hop into the meditation, feel the experience of learning these concepts in your body for yourself. Can't wait to have you there. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.